Okay, today is October 22nd and ITS 128, and we are October 22nd. We're down here. It is this day. So we are day 18. We're actually like about we're 1 week behind because today I'm going to finish up chapter 5. And then I'll give you an assignment. I haven't given you an assignment which covers this last half of chapter 5. I'll do that next time, and then we can start modularizing our code and fiddling around with arrays and so on. So if we take a look at the textbook, and we take a look at the last half of chapter 5, I wonder if I can move this here. We're talking about chapter 5, not the for loop. We're all done with loops. We've mastered loops. And okay, it's reading and writing data onto files. Reading and writing files. So at the beginning of chapter of this section, it talks about files for storage. It talks a little bit about how data is stored onto a disk, and this is the rotating disk kind of disks, not the solid state disks. But anyway, you know, there's sectors and so on, and there's seek times and latencies, and I don't think we need to learn too much about that. That's real technology dependent stuff anyway. And as time goes on, that technology is going to change quite a bit. So if there's two types of files. There's text files and binary files. We're just going to be dealing with text files because you can actually look and read what's on a text file. A binary file is like ones and zeros, and it translates to something like maybe an image or a program or something else. There's a new class that we're gonna use, a new system class. It's called system.io, and if we look, I wonder if it shows here someplace. In the system.io class, we have this. We can declare variables now. A stream writer type of variable, which is basically a variable which is connected to a file which we can write to. And there's also a stream reader, which is where we're connecting to a file that we want to read from. When we're connecting to a file to write to, we can either connect to it and write from the beginning, where once we connect to it, we're going to start all over again, and the file is going to be fresh. Or we can connect to the file in a way that we're going to append it to. We're going to append to it. So whatever's there in the file stays there, and we're just going to add on to the end. We're also going to learn how to use the dialog box. The file system dialog box, where we let's see, where is it? It's down farther. Here we go. Where if we want to write to a file, we make it so the system dialog box comes up, and then we locate the file that way, just exactly the way that we're used to. So when we're going to write to a file, we will open up the system dialog box and possibly type in the name of a file, to make a new file, or we may select an existing file, in which case we're going to write over it, or we're going to append it to it. So and it's the same for reading and for writing. We can open, we can use the dialog box for for opening a file to read, and we can use the dialog box to opening up a file for saving or writing to. And at the very end of this chapter, they show us how to use how to use the random number generator or the random number function. I think that's probably covered enough in the quizzes. I'll probably revisit this sometime in the future when I can come up with some good problem assignment which uses a random number generator. There's just not much. You don't use the random number generator for very many things, but it's there because there are times when you actually do need it, and you need a way where you can be sure that you can generate a list of random numbers that are normally distributed and all that. So, but that'll close out chapter 5, and then after that we can go on and learn about procedures and methods and so on. So I thought a good way to cover this material would be for you to go to Laulima, and if you go to the resources folder and then you go to sample programs, you'll notice that I've included this tutorial 5-5. Tutorial 5-5 is exactly, this is 5-9. Let's go back to 5-5, 5-7. 5-5 is right here. 5-5. Here, appending data to the friend.txt file. So it's this simple program that a dialog box comes up and you're able to type in names of people that you know, and then it stores them in this file. Let's see if I can find the dialog box. It doesn't show. Why don't you download this? So go here, click on tutorial 5-5. You can download it to the desktop. And this is it. I'm going to right click and extract all. I'm not going to have it show extracted files when complete because it's confusing. Okay, so I've extracted it, and now here it is. This thing appears from this. So now this, let's open this up, and here is our project. Open this up, and this is actually our project. Open this up, and this here is the project. It is this file plus this directory. Okay, so if you go back one level, it's here. This is actually the project. I'm going to put that out there. I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to get rid of this. Okay, so this is the project. This is what you would zip back up again and submit. Okay, so it's a folder. You open up the folder, and there's these two things in here. There's this file, and then there's this folder. Okay, this folder contains all of the extra files that this thing needs to run. If we look inside here, we see that this is the form1.cs. This is our code. Look at our code. It looks like this. You see, this code already works. And then we've got this bin, and we've got this debug, and this right here, this is the actual executable file that when you execute this, the program runs. Look, I can double click on this. I think that will work. Yeah, look, it's running. So I can type in Joe and write the name, and it executes. The name was written. By the way, okay, so that's the executable. This executable is created every time you click the green arrow when you run your program. Generates a new executable, compiles, generates a new executable, puts it here, and then it executes it. It runs. And this particular program reads and writes a file called friend.txt, which is right here. We'll get to this in a moment. So let me close this. Let me go back out to here. Here it is. And so now I'm going to start it up by clicking on this thing, double clicking on that thing. And I'm going to use Visual Studio. Okay, let me just show you this now. I was showing you this earlier. I got to sign it. Okay, this here is that directory I told you about. Go down into bin, go down into debug, and here we look and see this friend file.exe was generated on July 19th, 2018. Now, if I run this, I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna move this over, and I'm gonna run this. So I'm going to click Start, and that runs it. It builds it, compiles it, and look over here now. Look, it says 10/22/18. That's today, and that's today, right now. It just compiled and it generated this .exe file, and here it's running. Okay, let's take a look at the code. So let's pull this up, look at the code, and here's that system.io class that we include, and that gives us the usage of the stream writer class. And so the way this code works here, it's very simple. Look, it's very short. It executes when somebody clicks on the right name button, which is this thing. Double click on that, and we end up in here. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, so let's go through this code here. First, it declares a new variable called outFile. And what the this outFile variable, what type of variable is it? It's not an integer, it's not a string, it's a stream writer. Okay, it's a stream writer type of variable. Now this stream writer type of variable has got a lot of neat, nifty things that it can do. It's got some methods that are attached to it. This here is how you connect this outFile variable to an actual file that we can stream write to. So this is how you connect up this output variable, this output file variable to the file, this file, and it's called friend.txt, for appending. So it doesn't destroy the file, it just connects it up, and it's going to start writing names, at the bottom. This here, there's a method that every variable in this class possesses, and that's this writeLine method. And what this writeLine method does is it takes the contents, the string that's right here, and it writes that into this output file, or into the file that's connected to this output file variable. And then it closes the file. You have to close the file because if you leave it open, then no one else can come and open it. It's sort of stuck open. And so you need to close it to release it. And then what this program does is it displays out a message that says the name was written, and then it clears the name in the text box, and it puts the focus back on the text box again, so you're there ready to type in another name. If you do something like type in something like, let's say you type in something that's not, see, you can't really do that. Oh, maybe if you try to open a file that doesn't exist or something like that, I think the file, if the file doesn't exist, we'll create it. But maybe if you put in here a path to a file and the path doesn't exist, that would cause an exception, in which case this here would execute. There's other various reasons why something like this could throw an exception. And then the exit button just closes it. Okay, so let's see how this runs. By the way, this friend.txt, that is down in the same directory where the executable file is, where the program that executes is. And so that's down here. That's right here, and you'll notice it's right here. If we look at it, let's look at it. Looks like this. This was the Joe that I added on here. So this data was already in here. So let's try to run this again. I'm going to start this, and I'm going to say Bob Jones, right name. Name is written. Mary Chang, right name. Name was written. Okay, now let's go back to here. This was that file. I'm going to click on it. Oh, it says the file has been modified by another program. Do you want to reload it? Yes. And there we go. There's Bob Jones and Mary Chang. And since it's a write line, it also writes this return character, so that's why it goes on to the next line like that. All right. So let's. So that's the append text method. Let's see what happens if we change it to let's look at what these other methods are here. I'm going to stop this thing. We go back to the textbook. There is the append text, and there is append text, appending data. This is create text. This is going to create it from scratch. So let's see what happens when we use create text. So I'm going to change this to create text. Okay, what this is going to do is it's going to open it up and it's going to erase it. So we're going to start with a fresh file. So I'll go like this. Let me put this down. Let me get this up here. Okay, so here it is. Let me just see the whole file. Let's run this. Okay, so did it change? No. Oh, it did. What happened to it? Oops. Oh, form.cs changed. It's because I added. Remember, I changed it to create text. That changed. So I don't need to mess with this anymore. All right. So this is our file. Now I'm going to write a name. John Jones. Right name. Name was written. Now let me go back to here, and it says it's been modified. And oh, look, there's just John Jones there. Let's try this again. Jane Smith. Right name. Name was written. What does it happens now? Modified. Oh, it replaced the name. So each time that you write a new name and you click on the write name button, this thing executes and it opens up the file and it does create text, so it opens it up, erases what's there, and opens it up as a fresh new file. So we may want to keep it as append text, or maybe we want to add a button which says like start with a new file, start with an existing file, yeah, let's do that. I'll tell you what. First of all, okay, so we've done append text, and we've done create text. Let's look at some of the let's look at the read file ones. Okay, appending to an existing file, specifying the location of it. This is here's reading. Okay, stream writer input file. Okay, so and we use open text. That's the name of the method to open up, to connect a file to this variable. It's a stream reader variable, and it allows us to now read from that. How do we read from it? Right here, input file, read line. Input file, read line. Input file, read line. So can we loop? Where's the loop? Input file, end of stream equals false. So there's a property. There's a property that comes along with every stream reader variable called end of stream, and if this is true, then we're at the end of the file. When we first open it up, we're at the beginning of the file. Each time we read a line, it goes to the next line, goes to the next line, goes to the next line, and we can have a loop that keeps on looping until this end of stream turns true, which means we've read the last line, and then it skips out. So I'm gonna make a thing to display out this file. First of all, I'm gonna change this back to append. And I'm gonna now add a button here which says display button. Display file. Display file or something like that. And I gotta name it something more better, like btn display file. Okay, so there's display file, and here we are, and I'm going to do this input stream reader thing. I'm going to do like this, put this over here, see it, and I'm going to do it like right here. So I'm going to do oh, I suppose I should do a try catch thing. I'm just going to grab all this. Let's see if this is going to work. Might not work. It's a new. I got to get rid of these line numbers. I'm going to put this in. Put this in here. And what happens? So I don't need this. I do want this. I want this to be friend.txt. Friend.txt. Just like this. And I don't need any of this. for this, what I do want to do is I want to have string out file equals nothing while input file dot end of stream is false. While it's false, do this. Out file, append that, append onto it, read line. Here we go. Read line, input file, read line. So that reads it. Now the way that it knows that it's the end of the line is that there's a return character. You know, it goes on to the next line. However, it doesn't include that return character in the line that it returns. So we have to add that. We have to make sure that it gets added. So I'm just going to add the return character. I think a \n works. So anyway, this thing loops while there's lines. And what it does is it reads it up and it appends it to this out file string variable. And then after that, we can just display it out. Out file. And then we want to close it. So this will now display what is in out file. Let's try it. Let me just do that, and it says Jane Smith. All right, cool. Let's say Fred Wong. Okay. Jason. I can't think of any names. Sean. Display file. Okay, now we got these three names. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's see. Let's make it so. All right, I want to make some things here to make it a little bit easier. First of all, I don't like having to press the add name button all the time. I don't like to press this write name button all the time. So I'm going to make it so when I'm just doing enter, I type something in, I put the enter key, that will be just like pressing the write name button. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, I do it this way. On the form can have, for a form you can specify if there is a return, if a return is, so first of all, we have to go here. We have to modify this name text box, and I think we have to say, let me put this up here. Accepts return. I think we got to say that. I'm going to say that, see if that works. And then on the form itself, I have to say, let's see, what is it? The form itself, I say, not layout, accept button. I got to say what the accept button is. And the accept button is going to be the write name button. Now here it is, write name button. Okay, and let me get rid of this this stupid message name was written. Okay, let's try this and see if it works. Let's see. Matilda Ing. Enter. Did it work? Ah, there it is. Let's see. John Doe, Jane Doe, Rich Halverson. Display file. There they all are. Okay, great. Okay, so I've shown you reading text, writing text. How about, okay, I got to show you the dialog boxes. So let's create a dialog box. This class goes till 4:30. Okay, let's make it so instead of having the dialog box, or instead of having the file just fixed in there like that, let's make it so we use a dialog box to specify the file. So let's say, okay, so it'd be a writing the file. Writing the file. So I'm going to say, oh, so I know, I'm going to do it this way. Oops, I didn't start it up. Put a button there. I'm going to say this button is select file, choose file. Choose file, and I'm going to name this button btn choose file. Okay, so when you when you click on it, you got to open up the dialog box. Let's find the dialog box. Open dialog box. So we need to, first we got to put a dialog box on here. How do you put a dialog box on here? You go like this. And you go, make some smaller. Dialogs. Open file dialog. See, open file is for reading. Save file is just to identify a file for writing. I'm going to start with save dialog box. I'm going to put that over here. You just kind of drag it over. It ends up putting it down here. So so you do, let's see. Save, I'm doing save dialog box. Let's see, I'm trying to remember. All right, so that doesn't matter. You don't need to do this, but I'm going to change the name, I guess, to open file. All right, I'll change it to open file. I'm going to say just DLG, dialog, DLG, open file. All right, so so let's double click on this, and I can say DLG open file dot show dialog. And let's see, where do we get it out? Here it is, file name. Okay, so first this has got to be a if statement, because it's going to return an OK or a canceled. So this is actually got to be inside of an if statement. If that equals if what is returned is equal to dialog result OK, this is how you return. You return this. If it's equal to that, then you can do something. Let's call, okay, let's see, what do we call this file? We have to have a name for the file. Private file name, a string, file name equals friend.txt. So I'm going to start out by setting it equal to that. And then from then on, I'm just going to use, do I use file name anyplace else? I hope not. I'm going to put file name in here. And I'm going to put file name in here. Or it's going to open this dialog box. It's going to ask the user for a file name, to click on a file name or whatever. And when that comes back, I'm going to say file name equals open file. Right, this one. Dot file name. So so this is going to show the dialog box, and then if it comes back with it's okay, it's going to say okay, it'll execute this. It'll change the file name. That's this file name. It'll change it to whatever it came back. Otherwise, message box user canceled. Show. Okay, so this is going to change. Okay, so in fact, I'm going to put something in. So I'm gonna okay. So that button is gonna change the file name. So let's see if it works. All right. So first of all, it should just display that out. You know, I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna say when it writes out the file. I think at the top of the file, the first time I open up a file. Never mind. Let's just see if this works. Okay, this displays a file. June Jones. And now it says June Jones is there. Now let's choose a different file. Choose file, and this thing pops up. Let's go to my desktop, and I see this. Let's go here. Let's go here. Let's go down here. Let's go down here, and here's that friend. Now I'm going to make it friend2.txt. Just put another one there, friend2.txt. So click there, and now it says the file name is now equal to this. Great. So now I'm going to say Joe, Schmo, John, Brown. And now when I do display file, it does this. And we can actually go down and look in here. And here's that second file. And I can look at it and see that it is, this is friend. This one, it's that. Okay. So now that works. So we can you know, select the file and do that. Let's say we want to let's exit this. Let's say we just want to. That's interesting. It doesn't really matter if we select the file for reading or writing. Let me go look at the code. This choose file show dialog. It doesn't really matter if you're opening up to read or to write. Let's go back here. Here's a dialog. Open dialog box. Setting an initial directory for the dialog box. You can put a title across the top. This returns, you can use the open dialog, the dialog box as, this is save as, save file dialog. Save file dialog box. I'm curious. I want to see what the difference is between this, which is an open file, to a save file. I've got a save file dialog box, and I'm going to change that to say, name it DLG save file. And the way that works is save as, displays a standard with save as, allows user to browse the system to select a location and name for a file that is about to be saved. Save file dialog box is much in common with the open dialog control. When the control is created, it appears in the component tray. You can change the name of the property. So you can select the file. So I guess we could do it this way. Let's try it. We have we could do it this way. In this case, every time you write a name, it stores it right to the file at that time. We could change it. So instead of writing to the file each time, at the very end we say save file. So I'm just going to modify this here. So it not only writes it to one file, but it also it writes it to a file, but it also you'll be able to do a save file thing. So I'm going to create a variable. What time is it? 4:08. Okay, so I'm going to create another variable, private string file text to store equals nothing. Text to store. And every time you write the name, you're going to go through all this stuff, but you're also going to just save it to the text to store. So let me just do that. I just put it right up here. Text to store plus equals name text box dot text, but I want to also append on it a return. Let's see. I want to I'm going to make it a little bit more interesting. I'm going to do this. Private int line number equals 0. And I'm going to do line number. Now I'm going to do this. I want it to print out. I'll do it this way. Line number plus 1. Add 1 to line number. And then I'm going to make it write out line number plus space plus. Now I'm going to put colon space plus. So in this text to store, it's going to have line numbers. Whereas this other thing is just going to write it out. Also, this is going to start over each time the program runs. Whereas this here does not do that. Although I could make it do that. Yeah, let's make it do that. No, let's just do this for now. All right, so this thing accumulates, and each time there's a line number, and then let's make another button called write file. Store file, write file, store file. btn store text into file. How's that? Store text into file. And the button's going to say save to file or something, whatever. All right, let's double click on it. Here we are. I'm going to throw up a dialog box, and I do if dlg save file dot show dialog equals dialog result dot OK. If that happens, then I want to open a file, create. I want to do something like this. I need to do this first. File name equals dlg save file dot file name, and then oh, do I gotta say string? does this work? Oh, that's because it's really renamed. Ah, this has to be something new. String. This is going to be a new one. Save file. Save file equals that, and so save file. This is, no, I got to do, stream writer. I forgot about the stream writer thing. Stream writer. Declare a variable stream writer. That's that. This is that. This is that. Okay. It's kind of confusing, but let's call it save file name. Save file name. Output new file. Output new file. So I've got this stream writer variable called output new file, and I just want to loop and write. So it's just this thing. So I do a loop. No, I can just. I wonder if I could just write the whole thing. I think I can just write the whole thing, can't I? Write line. I think I can just write the whole thing out at once. I'm going to try that. What am I writing out? I'm writing out text to store. Text to store. Okay, so that just writes it. Oh, I got to close these things. Close. Close. No, I do. Output. New file. Close. Yeah. All right, I'm going to see if this works. So, John Fredrickson, Carl Budd, who else? Mike Moe. All right, so save display file. There's those names, the new ones. And what happens if I press this? I think I got to press this first. This save to file. Ask for file. I'm going to say new file.txt. Okay. Let's see what happens. Let's go over here. And where's my directory? Desktop, down here, down here, down here, down here. New file. So what does it look like? Where are the line numbers? What? Oh, this is friend.txt. Sorry, it's not this. This one. This is the one. Here we go. There it is. John Fredrickson, Carl Budd, Mike Moe. What do you know? What do you know? Oh, it gets written both places. Oh no, I got to do this first. Save to file. Same thing. Yes, I do. Yes. Oh, it wrote it all over again. So you could probably clear it or something afterwards. Maybe clear it after you save it. I wonder what would happen. See, it's kind of weird that you have, oh, that's for writing. Okay, well, anyway, so it almost looks, it's almost like, I think you might even be able to like interchange save dialog and open dialog. What would happen if we were to make, this is choose file and this is save file. What would happen if we were to change this? Let's change save file to open file and open file to save file. I wonder if that would make a difference. I wonder if that would do anything. Yeah, I'm going to try that. I'm going to change this to save and this to save and this to open. And I think the only difference is that it in that where it asks you if you want to overwrite kind of thing. So I've switched them. I've switched the dialog boxes around. Okay, let's see what this does. So I'm going to choose a file now. So I'm going to go like this, click, choose a file, and it's asking me save as, but that doesn't matter. I want to choose a file. I'm going to click on whatever, friend.txt. Okay, it already exists. Yes. Okay, so I've chosen that file. Can I display it now? Is that it? Is that the one? Probably. I'm gonna choose the other file. I'm gonna choose this one. Yeah. Yeah. Now when I display it, yeah, that's the one. Now I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna type in some stuff. Stuff 1, stuff 2, stuff 3, and display it. We see it down there. And now I'm going to save to file, but it's going to ask me let me do a new file 2.txt. All right, this is saved to file. And let's go back here, and this is this one. And if we look at this, it looks like this. Okay. So it doesn't really matter. It's just the message. It's more or less the context that you would use one or the other, but it's basically still just requesting, asking you for a file name. That's all it's doing. It's not doing any of the opening, or it's not doing any of the writing or the reading. That's for you to do further on in your program. So this here we're choosing, but we're using the save dialog box, and here we're storing, but we're using the open. And open is generally used for reading, and is usually used for reading, and saving is used for writing. But anyway, so that's basically it for the rest of the chapter. Did that seem understandable? Okay, so that's it for chapter 5. So I will come up with another assignment, and next time we'll start chapter 6. And after we're done with chapter 6, we will have covered everything that we initially covered in that third assignment when I had you calling procedures. You know, I had you defining things, this thing calling that thing, and that was sort of above, you know, above our heads at that time. That's in chapter 6. After that, we'll see how that works. All right, so I hope this video turned out. So I will end the meeting. Thanks for watching. End meeting.